Raider Nation, what's the deal, man? Once again, it's your guy Panama Fargo back to y'all live with another episode of the Raider Rundown. Make sure y'all keep tapping on that like and subscribe button, man, and keep sharing out the content. It's much appreciated to everybody that comes back and checks out what I got going on, man. So without further ado, what I'm trying to get into today, man, I'm trying to get into some more OTA notes, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, because a lot of good shit, a lot of good information coming out about that, right? And at the same time, we can get into the Josh Jacobs news, man. What's going on with that situation and what can we expect? So without further ado, let's get into it. So where I want to start here, man, first little note of the OTAs, man, of the mini camps. Divine Diablo is now wearing the green dot for the Raiders defense, right? And if y'all don't know what that is, basically the green dot is the quarterback at the defense. He gets the plays in his helmet. He relays the plays on the field, man. So that right there is a very, very good sign. I know me personally, I've talked about the linebacker room in depth, right, at length, and saying that our linebacker room isn't very strong and it could be stronger. But if Divine Diablo takes the leap, right, if he takes that next step, then it dramatically changes the perception of our linebacker room, right? I mean, my main concern with Diablo was his injury factor. I know the past couple years, since we got him, he's had injuries that's piled up, that's kept him out for long periods of time, right? So that right there is my number one concern. That and the pass coverage, but pass coverage can be worked on, right? I mean, he's used to playing safety. He was used to playing safety in college. And from that position, everything is in front of you, right? You're seeing everything unfold in front of you. From the linebacker position, it's kind of different because your things are going on behind you, and you got to kind of react a little more, to things that's going on behind you. So it may be a tough transition, and you can hear him talk about it kind of in his little interview presser here.
I feel like I need an increased weight to keep up with the linemen, but not too much weight, so I can also do my part in the coverage as well.
You found that balance with where
Yes, sir. I'm still working on it. I might have got a little too heavy, but running out there on the field is going to help over time.
It was a little tough transition, man, but as they said right there, man, he's more confident this year than he was last year. He's at a good weight, at a nice low 235. So at the end of the day, man, we're going to see how he's able to run, take on the blocks and all that shit. I mean, to me, Diablo's problem was never run stopping, was never run stuffing, bro. He was always pretty good at that when he was on the field. The problem was the coverage aspect of it, right? And the durability factor. But if those two things kind of get cleaned up and he comes this year with a new focus, new attitude, I feel like, that can only increase and dramatically help the production of the linebacker room that is severely lacking in production and talent right now. So let's hope that he puts it all together, and for this year right here, he comes in with a new focus, right? Speaking of new focus, another defender we got to talk about, right? Trayvon Merritt, right? And if you're wondering where I'm getting all these sources from, go on social media, right? If you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, this guy, Raiders.scout, very, very reliable source of information when it comes to Raider news. He's very in tune, very in depth, and he's locked in, man. So if you're looking for any information that's going to come out that you know is 100% truthful, or that that has some real good credibility to it, Raiders.scout is the guy to go to, right? That's who I go to, him and Hondo Carpenter, if I'm really trying to get some source of information. But at the end of the day, right, we're looking at Trayvon Merritt. Now, Trayvon Merritt now is in his third year. Everybody in Raider Nation has pretty much said the same thing about him. We were all excited when he got drafted from TCU, and we were expecting that ball hawk that we were, advertised at the end of the day, that we were promised. So far, it hasn't come to fruition, right? And you got to attribute some of that to changing schemes, changing coaches, all this other shit, right? But finally, a second year in a coach's system, right? And now they got Trayvon Merritt playing strong safety. He's already made a number of plays in this mini camp, already has a couple interceptions, and that's exactly what we've been waiting for, right? We've been waiting for that ball hawk that we saw at TCU to come out, right, and start getting his hands on the football. Me personally, I've said that the secondary has dramatically increased from last year to this year. I'm not going to say it's a huge upgrade, but at the end of the day, it's more competitive, and I feel like there's more talent in this room right here. And if Trayvon Merritt can take that step, right, that we're hoping he takes. Now, it's only his third year, and sometimes it takes players 3 years in the league to really get ramped up and really get going, right? So if he could take that step, again, another player that would dramatically change the perception of this defense, right? We need guys to make that Max Crosby leap. All right, we need guys to make that Max Crosby transition into becoming a star or just becoming a consistently, productive player. Because at the end of the day, man, it can't just be Max on that defense with the type of shit that he does, bro. It has to be more. We need more of that. So if Diablo can get it in, if Mary can come out here and put it all together, man, it dramatically changes this defense, right? We need playmakers. We need guys to get their hands on the ball. And these are the two guys right here we're hoping that can blossom into the guys that we're counting on and relying on in the future. When you see some of the good defenses in the NFL, and sometimes most of them don't put too much stock into certain positions, but at the end of the day, the good defenses or the, productive defenses that get turnovers in the NFL have at least one solid player at each level of the defense. And I mean D-line, linebacker, and secondary, right? We got our D-line straight because we got the star in our D-line, which is Max Crosby, and you just signed Tyree Wilson. You just drafted him. So the D-line is straight. Got to get the linebacker core together, man. We need some consistency from that area. Also, the secondary, we need some consistency from there as well. Now, the secondary is a little hard because if your D-line and your front seven isn't providing a lot of pressure, right, it's hard for a DB and safeties to really blossom and show what they can do if they got to cover for more than like 7 seconds, right? That shit's like, it's hard to do. So we're hoping that we can put it all together, man. I've also heard that Neil Farrell Jr. has lost some weight per the coach's request. All right, he looks faster, he looks leaner, he looks like he's quicker in his step. So at the end of the day, that's another person, right, that we're hoping can take that leap because we are now lacking in the run stuffer of the defense, right? That nose tackle. We're lacking of that now because there's no Jonathan Hankins, right? I forgot who was playing there last year, but at the end of the day, we lost Billings to the Bears, right? We lost Billings to the Bears. So now we're hoping that the young players like Neil Farrell Jr., Matthew Butler, dudes of this nature can go ahead and step up. You also drafted Byron Young, somebody who the coaching staff likes so far. And so far that he's been very impressive. I've heard in the minicamp looking quicker, looking faster than what, the Raiders initially expected. Now, we have to wait till training camp for the guys in the trenches to really show their ass, right? The guys in the trenches really going to show their ass has got to be in training camp when the pads come on, okay? When the pads come on, we're going to really know about our front seven on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line, okay? So we have to wait till then for us to really know what type of team we got going on. But it's good to hear that people are already making plays. People are already looking more comfortable in this system, right? A lot of players were, attributing the fact that this year, the coaching staff, Josh McDaniels and the coaching staff has changed a lot of philosophy that they had from last year to this year. And now it seems more different. Players are more energized to come in here and learn their roles, come more eager to come in, come to work and work, man. You know what I mean? So you got to attribute Josh McDaniels and the coaching staff for that, man, because a lot of players have already came out during this minicamp air time right here and said they love what the coaching staff is doing with them in the teaching aspect and on the field aspect, right? So you got to give the coaching staff credit for that. When you have a coaching staff that can look at their faults, look at their mistakes, come back the next year and correct that without no, egos involved, that's how it starts from the top down to win a championship, right? Now, we're going to see if all those things come to fruition on the field, but at the end of the day, it's good to hear those things right now, okay? Last but not least, man, the last thing we got to talk about, star running back Josh Jacobs. He was not there. He was the only one not at attendance for the non-mandatory minicamp, right? So they got the non-mandatory, then they have the mandatory. So it seems like there was pretty much perfect attendance except for Josh Jacobs at the non-mandatory minicamp, right? And that's a very, very good sign. You got new players, old players from last year. Everybody's bought in, right? And we can't really fault Josh Jacobs for not going, because at the end of the day, if my contract and my money was not right and I'm about to put my body on the line, I wouldn't go either. You feel what I'm saying? So they got until training camp to really, to get it together. So I'm not really tripping about that. I've also heard from the Raider Scout and from multiple sources that, the contract extensions aren't really at a frustrating negotiating period. You know what I mean? They both want to get the extensions done. The Raiders side and Josh Jacobs' team want to get an extension done. They want this to be his home long term, right? And as long as both sides are willing to come to an agreement and are willing to work together, I feel like something's gonna shake out, right? We ain't heard no drama. I ain't heard no negativity as far as what's going on with that discussion. You know what I mean? I've only heard positivity and just saying that patience. It just hasn't happened yet, but they're making it happen and they're going to make it happen, right? So to every Raider fan that's tripping about that, don't trip, bro. They just got to get the numbers right on that contract. They got to get the money right on the contract. But I do expect Josh Jacobs to be back here for this next season, killing motherfuckers, right? I expect that, and he's only gonna lead our offense, to the promised land. So that's all I wanted to talk about right here for OTA notes, man. Y'all let me know. Are y'all excited to hear about the defensive news, man? Do y'all think they're really gonna make the leap? Let's hope that when the pads and training camp and everything comes together, they only do nothing but increase their production and keep getting better, man. That's all we can ask for. So remember, keep hitting the like, comment, and subscribe button, man. And remember, I always keep it authentic from the clouds to the ground on the Raider Rundown.
Look, hold it down for my G's, still I'm seeing greed. A lot of niggas in these streets who don't get no reprieve. So what you want is you gon' bleed to keep your niggas freed? Oh, it's facade until you ball and you stacking cheese. Okay, I see this shit is